All right, chat. So I think we did quite a few conversations about character choices within fighting games and character strengths. There's been an ongoing topic on Twitter talking about the reason why people choose to play weak characters within fighting games. And it was a question revolved around Super Noon. He asked a question, and a lot of FGC peeps, gave their spiel about why they think people do this or why they actually do these type of things. So let's go and start talking about these weak character interactions as far as why do people play these characters that are seemingly weak when they want to be good. So let's read the question. So tweet by Super New here on May 16th, and I quote, "Question for fighting game people here. If you really want to win or be a really good player, why do you pick weaker or not as effective characters? I see some people mad about losing or tilted, but then they play like Anji or Faust. I never understood this honestly." So they're asking a fair point here. This is a question of what do you want out of fighting games, and this is tossing out the idea of, oh, I play for fun. No, he directly targets the people that are saying they want to be good, they want to be strong players, they want to improve in the game in this type of way, they want to be some of the best. So why would some of the people that want to be considered the best play characters that are seemingly weaker inside of a game? And this is the idea that they don't really understand why people will put themselves through this. It doesn't make any sense. If you want to be strong, obviously it seems to be the correct way to pick something that is already strong to help you win more consistently, right? It just makes sense when you're trying to play something like that. It happens in every, it's not just fighting games. You see it in card games, you see your top decks and stuff like that. People will play the top 3 decks over and over. You'll run into it in the ladder all day. Why? Because it's strong and people want to win, and that is what they're going to play. The same thing is here. You see it in all types of games. So why do people try to play some of the worst stuff but still try to compete at like the highest level? They want to be a high or top level competitor with these low level characters or weaker characters. Now this leads to a very interesting conversation, because my initial thoughts when I thought about this question was simply it was a personality thing. People want to play obviously what they like. They want to play what they like, and they want to win with those type of things. And then of course with those things, they feel like people will be more impressed with their wins, especially if it is a weaker character. And then there's always the counter argument of people aren't really like that, or people don't care about your results in that type of way, right? They don't care if you made it like this. A prominent example that I've seen before, and this was when there was another question that was very weird or something. I forget exactly the question, but something about Evo. They were asking like which result matter, like if winning your local or like Evo or something like that. And one person quoted, and it reminded me of this sort of thing right here. They said, people don't remember the person that made like 9th at Evo. It doesn't matter if you made 9th with like the worst character in the game. People are not going to remember that. But if you're in the top 8 of an Evo, people recognize that, you're on the big stage and stuff like that. People recognize it even if you don't go that far. You win one round in Evo and then like lose after that, that's fine. I mean, people will recognize you in a top 8. But the main point here is people really are not going to care essentially what you win with, right? If you are a consistent player and you're winning, yeah, there are going to be some people that are like, oh, you're carried by your character, whatever. But if you're consistent enough with the type of thing, there's no doubt in the mind that you should be there at that level, because everybody else could be doing the same thing. And there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be trying to best you in the same thing that you're also trying to do. There's a good tweet here by Wrath where they said, I think the best most people can do is find the best character that they also enjoy. Sometimes the character you enjoy the most is actually pretty good, but has a couple of polarizing matchups that are tilting. Strive is the worst offender of this I've ever seen. And I think you do have a point about that. I've been mentioning a lot about Strive, where like the worst matchups of a character feel like really bad in this game for some reason. Like, some other games you can have some bad matchups but you can overcome them, but it feels like even like a 6-4 in this game feels like a really bad 6-4. And that's why you see a lot of people talk about having, or you just see it in action, right? You see a lot of these other top players in these Strive tournaments, they have like other characters that they play. So when they run against a matchup that they know they're going to fight against, they have other characters. You see people running multiple characters inside of tournaments inside of this game. Now if you're playing, obviously I said like the top 3, you probably don't need one, but if you're playing any character like outside of like the top 3 top 5 range, you probably would need a secondary to account for some of the bad matchups that you will occur inside of the game of Strive. But yeah, I think Wrath has a point here. He says he thinks people should pick the best thing that they like, and what he means by like the best thing you like is like if there are like say like 3 characters you like in the game, one is a top tier character, one is mid tier, and one is low tier, then you should pick the top tier character of the characters you like. You can probably mess around with the mid and low tier, but as far as you competing and trying your best, you should pick the best character out of the characters that you like, and that is going to give you the most enjoyment. You like the character, so of course you're going to enjoy the process of implementing your style with this character and performing with this character. So there's not going to be like any controversial mindset in the back of your head saying, man, I'm winning with this character, but I don't like them. It's just they're dumb and I gotta play them. There's nothing like that. You enjoy the character, so you're playing the best of what you like. And I think that is the best way to go about it. I think a lot of people actually do that. Now, we know fighting game players love a good OS. People love OS in their wins, their losses, no matter what. They'll OS anything. You know, if I win, I'm fucking nice at this game. If I lose, I don't even play this game, dog. I play this game like once every 2 months. What the hell are we talking about here? I don't play this game. Good shit. You won. But Flux tweet actually brings up a good point. If you play a weak character, it gives you something to blame when you lose other than yourself. And we see this all the time in gaming, period. Fighting games is no exception to the rule. People, of course, will love to blame something other than themselves. You know, it's not them that's bad. It's the character that sucks when it comes to performing and stuff like that. So I always try to say, like, you know, if I feel like my character is truly bad, pick up another character. Pick up one of the better characters, the characters you feel like are dumb and brain dead, right? See if you could perform with that character. If you're performing well with that character, then maybe it is your character. Maybe your character is actually that bad. Like, they may be that bad. But if you see that, oh, shoot, like, I'm actually struggling to win with even a character, then it's obviously something that's different than just the character difference and stuff like that. And of course, you could argue that the person doesn't like the character, so the connection isn't there. But there's also just the fact that if they're claiming that it's so easy, they should be able to do it themselves. The Flux tweet, I feel like, is a little bit off topic when it comes to the actual conversation that we're trying to have here, because I feel like that is a bad mentality for a person, especially that's trying to consider themselves as trying to become a top player or a strong player within the game they send. You know, if you are playing a game and you're trying to play a character that's weak in the hopes that if you lose, you have this option select in your mind to have the copium inside, this is not the mindset of a top player. A top player is not going to have a mindset of, oh, my character's so weak, that's why I can't win. They're going to fix the problem. You know, if the problem is the character, they're going to pick something better so they could be more consistent. At least that's what most people would do. Now, our conversation we had chat plenty of times here on the stream is, of course, me talking about play styles of characters and how certain play styles just do not click right away. It doesn't matter if people consider it easy. We even had the whole conversation of fighting games being subjective, right? Fighting games are subjective as far as the difficulty, because something that is considered easy could be hard if it's just not a play style you're used to. You know, maybe this character is supposed to be like the easy Shoto character, where if you never played that type of character before and you're used to just mix, and all of a sudden you trying to play like a neutral heavy character, you don't really have the concept of neutral that well, because all you do is get to touch it and knock them down and run it, homie. It's a completely different ball game. You're not used to that. So it is going to be something that you have to get the skills for. And that is, I think, the good tweet that Sway was talking about here. So Sway said that sometimes it's a playstyle thing. For example, execution might be a barrier for why someone can't play Zato or Happy Chaos. For others, they might be terrible at rushdown but do really well with zoners. That said, it is not something people can't overcome. So, hey, in the words of the good old Stanford Kelly, pick a top tier, which I definitely think he is correct on. We stated this, of course, in the video where I was talking about the subjectivity of fighting games itself as well, where I was talking about there being a middle category between the subjective and objective, which I feel like is like a time difficulty type of thing, where there's just a time where it's going to be more difficult because you're learning the process and trying to apply the things that you're learning to learn the style of the character. Once you get that down, then you could probably see the ease of use that everyone else is talking about. But until that time, there's a set of time difficulty that is neither subjective or objective difficulty for that matter of learning that character. Now, I think one of the most interesting ones here, chat, is of course by LK, the analysis man himself. He brought up a pretty good interesting point that I think you all should take in consideration when it comes to improvement inside of fighting games, when you're just trying to improve and not just win consistently, especially in like a tournament environment. Okay, stated, real thoughts. This thread is about if you want to win or be a good player, why pick a weaker character? So you need to think of your goal, in my opinion. If your goal is to improve, you can do this with any character, but there are times where doing this with a weaker character can help you a lot. And then from there, he goes on to list a couple of examples of players that have played sort of weaker characters and have learned some actual skill sets they'll bring on into the stronger characters that they play later on, and that helped them improve dramatically when they actually picked up those stronger characters and stuff like that. So I think that's very interesting. But the main thing that I really liked about this is the thing that he said about just improvement, right? If your sole purpose is just improvement, you can improve essentially with any character. Like you said, if you're not just trying, like if you're trying to win a tournament, you're trying to be the top level player, the best of the best, then obviously you need to pick something that's strong. There's no reason for you to pick anything weak. But if you're just trying to improve, you know, work on the little things, work on your actual neutral, work on your confirms, your hit confirms and stuff like that, work on your anti-airing, just basic things, any basic knowledge you could bring to any other fighting game that you play, just your basic fundamentals, right? These are things that we work on with any character. This is your sense of improvement, your better half of yourself when it comes to just learning fighting games. Any character can teach you these type of things. But he says like the weaker characters will help you learn some of these things better. And I think this has to be with the idea of the priority and stuff inside of games. You know, when you're playing a strong character and they have really good hitboxes, interactions and stuff like that, especially in Guilty Gear Strive, then you may feel a little bit of that, you know, top tier privilege. But if you don't have that, when your character feels a little bit on the weaker side when you're playing the neutral games and stuff like that, you have to think a little bit outside the box to overcome certain matchups. You have to think about the neutral a little bit differently, where you can't just unga bunga far slash your way with like Soul, or just, you know, I guess far slash or Fukio your way in with Nago, or far slash your way with Ram and stuff like that. You have to think a little bit more with some of the weaker characters that probably don't have a as strong neutral game as some of these other top tier contender characters. So being able to think of this unique way and then coming onto a top character will have you get a clear advantage of just outthinking your opponent probably in a neutral situation than just the regular way they will think about neutral, because you have this more of a out of the box mindset because you played a character that had to maneuver in a different way to deal with these stronger tools and stuff like that. So I think there's a little bit of what they're trying to talk about and why they went into a little bit of a thread about this, and I just wanted to break this down a little bit to you guys so you guys can understand a little bit of where they're coming from, because I thought there's a very unique and analytical take on the whole idea of weaker characters and why people choose certain characters, but why it's okay to actually choose your character depending on the goals that you have within fighting games that you set for yourself. So anyway, chat, I know the wheels are turning. I see you guys discussing this in the chat, but for the people on the YouTubes, as always, let me know how you guys feel about this, how you guys feel about playing weaker characters inside of fighting games. Do you feel like it's something that should be like praised more if a person wins like that? Do you think the community cares about that more? Why do you do it if you're a person that plays weaker characters? Do you go towards weaker characters? Like, do you like try to pick weaker characters, or do you just somehow just land on them? Is it a playstyle preference thing and the character just happens to be weak? Or do you try to pick like the best of the characters that you like inside the game? Like I said, from Raph, that he said it was a good point. I do agree with that. Do you try to do that? Like, how do you guys pick your characters inside of fighting games, and why do you think people pick weaker characters inside of fighting games? Let me know down in the comments below all your thoughts about that. Definitely like to hear what you guys got to say. Anyway, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like. I greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, all in my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so you know the next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.